My name is Leonardo. My brothers and I made a wrong turn somewhere. Now we're trapped, our backs to the wall in this trash-strewn alley. Barring the way out are 15 members of the Purple Dragons, the toughest street gang on the east side. The only way they'll let us out of here is if we're dead. I hold my katana in a relaxed, ready position. To my left, Donatello and Michelangelo follow suit with bow staff and nunchakus. With his sai, Raphael guards my right side. I sense his body quivering with tense energy, waiting to be triggered into savage, slashing release.
You're dead, freaks. Nobody trespasses on Purple Dragon turf and gets away with it, especially when they're wearing stupid turtle costumes.
He's wrong. We're not wearing costumes. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was a massive success twice over. First, in comics, where it spawned dozens of imitators and kicked off the black and white boom of the 1980s. And then it did the same thing in television, spawned dozens of imitators, and completely took over children's animation. But how good were the original comics co-written and co-drawn by Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird? My name is Steven, but when I fight for justice, I go by the superhero alter ego Spike Stonehand. Welcome to Divining Comics, my channel where I explore the magic hidden between the panels of your favorite comics.
Boys and girls, your attention, please. Presenting a new exciting radio program featuring the thrilling adventures of an amazing and incredible personality.
Thank you for watching my very first video for Divining Comics. You may be wondering what this YouTube is all about. Well, some friends of mine in the My Marvelous Year community were doing the Criterion Challenge for movies, and that is where you pick 52 movies that you will watch over the course of the year based off of different categories like movies from Portugal or movies from before 1945. And it's designed to expand your knowledge of the breadth and depth of world cinema. And we were talking, we thought, why isn't there a similar thing but for comics? So I made one. You can check it out in a link in the description of this YouTube video, but I picked 52 different categories of different comics from around the world, and I have picked 52 comics that I will be talking about over the course of this year in short, hopefully low-effort YouTube videos. This first month I kind of grouped by theme, and it is all comics that spawned incredibly long runs. And so Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles has comics that are still being published today, almost 40 years later. But before we get into the comics themselves, please, if you would, give this video a like and share it with some friends that you think would be interested in reading comics and expanding their knowledge of comics. I would love for a whole lot of people to join in on this journey with me to pick their own 52 comics. And if you pick some comics that you'll be reading this year, please let me know in the comments what comics you're reading over the course of this year. And let me know how your journey is going. So even if you don't read comics yourself, share this with somebody who does. And if you want to throw me a few dollars over on patreon.com/diviningcomics, feel free to do that as well. But let's talk about the comics themselves. I would highly recommend you check out Matt with 4 T's, that's MATTTT. He has a great video about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. All his videos are pretty good, but his video on Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles goes into some of the interesting things about the rise and fall of the creative partnership between Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird. The most important thing that I want to point out here in this video is that they weren't trying to make a massive success. They were just two guys that were having fun, entertaining each other by doing the things that they liked and referencing the things that they liked. You'll see there's tons of Frank Miller's Daredevil, for example, all over these pages. It's one of their major influences in both content and style. The first issue origin story even explicitly references Daredevil's origin story just off panel from Daredevil's origin, where he gets hit with a jar of toxic radiative waste that gives him his heightened super senses. That same vat becomes the ooze that gives the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles their mutation, their powers. And so I was reading these comics on my iPad using the Comics Plus app that's available through my library. It's really great for libraries, apparently. It's much cheaper than the alternatives like Hoopla or Libby, but I think that lower cost does mean that there are some bugs in the app. Like I kept getting double pages where I would turn the page on the comic and you get the same thing you just read. There was even one page missing, and a lot of the double page spreads didn't work. So your mileage may vary if you read using the same thing I did, but I was reading the Black and White Classics Volume 1, which collects the first issues 1 through 3 of the original series, and then also the Raphael one-shot. And these were the first 4 issues chronologically released. So let's get into them. The story of these comics, I think, is really well done. You can actually see the 2 writing abilities get better from issue to issue. The first one, though it is kind of clunky, it has all the stuff that you need to a story, and each issue gets better and better. But starting at the beginning, you can see how much of the formula is already present. You have the Turtles, you have Master Splinter, you have their ninja unique weapons, and you have Shredder, their arch nemesis. And one of the things that you'll immediately notice when you're reading these comics is just how dark they can get. In this first issue, after successfully defeating Shredder, the Ninja Turtles tell him to commit seppuku, to kill himself in order to regain his lost honor. That's not something you would normally expect from just your normal everyday superhero. It really presages, I think, a lot of the kind of teenage darkness that you'd find in 90s Image comics like Spawn. That darkness continues all the way through these first 4 issues and culminates in the final one, which is like a Raphael solo story. Raphael, the hot-headed one who always struggles with his love of violence, so much so that he gets sent away after taking a sparring match too far and for some space so he can cool off, and he runs into Casey Jones. Casey Jones is another longtime Turtle player who's already here from this early phase, and he is inspired by 1980s crime movies like Dirty Harry, and he wants to clean the filth up off of the streets. I think that is kind of a shortcoming a little bit of some of these comics, but that is something inherent to the superhero vigilante genre, is the way that it portrays crime, I think, is not based in reality, and it in fact leads to some harmful tropes in real life. But that's something you could probably put aside for these comics about anthropomorphic turtles fighting crime. Casey Jones is a great juxtaposition for Raphael because he is that much more violent. He is much more willing to kill people for any crime, whereas Raphael at one point says, the punishment has to fit the crime, even if he is very pro-violence in the sense he has more of a moral code than Casey Jones does at this point. So it really, through the use of these 2 characters, establishes the character of Raphael, and I just think that that's really solid fundamental writing. And another thing that you can notice improve issue to issue is the artwork, and that's not to say the art in issue 1 is bad at all. It's from the get-go very kinetic, very energetic. It reminds me of the work of, say, Daniel Warren Johnson, just this kind of love of action, but it does noticeably improve issue to issue. I think the best art sequence is in the 3rd issue, which is almost entirely a car chase sequence, something that does not inherently lend itself to the comic book form. But Eastman and Laird do an incredible job just pacing the sequence, establishing the location that you're in and how the vehicles are moving through it as April O'Neil drives the Turtles away from the police officers who have mistaken them for a gang of criminals driving a similar van. It just is a sequence that really sings and really works. I think that is something incredible for 2 guys that had never really done comics professionally before to make something so cinematic in the comic book form. The art itself really loves that kind of Ben Day dots. I don't know if you're aware of what those are, but that was kind of back in the day before they had digital tools. If you wanted a lot of small dots on an image, instead of drawing them themselves, there'd be a little piece of paper that you could cut out, and it would ink those dots for you on the page. They love this. They have it basically on every page. It's most of the page is this kind of small dot patterns, and it adds almost a pixel art look to these comics. As anachronistic as that might sound, it looks like a retro video game, and I think that is really cool, especially on their close-ups of figures' faces. Even though it is kinetic, it is action heavy. Even from the first issue, you never have an issue of a lack of clarity in what actually is happening. Everything is super coherent. It's not kind of muddy gray. It looks really good. It's really fun to read, and it's really engaging. One complaint that I do have, and that's something that I don't know what they could have done in this black and white format, but all the turtles look exactly the same. If you can't see their weapons, or they're not saying anything that would indicate which character is talking, specifically, you can't tell who is who in any given scene. I remember hearing that it wasn't even until the animated series that they actually gave them their distinctive colors. Even once they started doing color comics, they still gave them all just red bandanas instead of the color-coded ones that we all associate them with now. So some of that is a little bit confusing, and when you have essentially the same character design used 4 times, it can be a little confusing as to what character is which. So to wrap things up, would I continue reading this series? Yes, definitely. I think I will actually continue reading the Turtles as I have time. I've read some of the more modern stuff, but I'm very excited to go back and dig to the first 15 or so issues that Eastman and Laird worked on together before they got caught up in the success of their own creation. Who would I recommend this for? Definitely if you like kind of sideways takes on superheroes. If you love that Frank Miller 80s style of comics where there's a lot of Japanese influence and a lot of crime fighting and butt kicking, that's definitely the type of comic that this is. And then if you're a fan of those kinds of modern kinetic expressive artists like Daniel Warren Johnson, who I keep bringing up, I would definitely recommend this for you. Thank you for watching my first video. Like I said, if you'd like to participate in the Comics Challenge of 2026, the description will include a list of all the different categories, so you can pick 52 comics of your own to read over the course of this year. Please share this with people who would be interested in reading comics, and thank you for watching. Never let the magic of comics die.
Old Enoch, he lived to be 365 when the Lord came and took him back to heaven alive. I saw the light from heaven shining all around. I saw the light come shining, I saw that light come down.